So here we are in the shed with Team Avago, coming up to 1 year from the debut of this package at Yarrawonga. The team has endured a fair share of challenges. Fair to say there's a lot of challenges in that time, including a massive fire down at Dargle that caused a lot of damage and grief for the team and families around the team. You want to elaborate on that for us, Craig?
Yeah, that was a bit of a bad weekend.
It definitely wasn't a highlight of the season, that's for sure.
I don't know if we've actually really said that much about the fire so far. We've put a few pictures up the other month, but this tank had rotated backwards. The pickup point hit the back of the crank and then obviously put a hole in the fitting. The fuel then leaked all into the bottom of the boat. I seen a fleckle of orange out of my mirror coming back into the ramp and said to the boys there was a fire. They couldn't see because obviously it's methanol, but I could see something flickering in the mirror. They called the safety boat over. They got it put out after a while. But with the damage that actually happened, the guys from Conley Craft actually come and give us a hand, and this whole section here has been cut all the way along here, up to here, and back through. So that was all replaced. I'll show you the mould and that they made up for us to fix it. We've put this Raptor coating on to try and tie it into the boat so it doesn't look like a repair as such, but this stuff we've learned does really good. Like, you can see that stuff sitting there, doesn't really scratch the paint because it's very durable, so it's actually a good thing. So we may do it if we ever buy a new boat or something. It's a pretty good product to use at the back here because it protects the paint. But if you have a look here, oh, that's my bad. Dale, your beer, you can't tell.
Watch out.
Yeah. So you can see here, this is the original part of the back of the boat.
Looks very damaged there underneath.
There. So it doesn't look that bad from the top, but underneath you can see it's just the glass left. There's a lot of resin damage, so it was a lot worse than we actually thought. And the boys at Conley Craft made this mould up here, which then in sight is the whole re-side of down through here, up through there, and that whole side. So that's twice as thick as the other side, but it's it came up pretty good. You wouldn't know unless you've you seen what the work they did.
No, look, it looks great. You know, obviously there's a lot more that's gone into it than just the fiberglass repairs. That's a massive part of it. I know Dale and everyone else involved in the team has had to put a lot of effort in there with, you know, redoing wiring harnesses, all the perishable items, you know, the things that are affected by fire.
Like it pretty much burnt every hose in the boat. It burnt every wire sort of from here back. So it was a big job to get it back together again.
And there's a lot of people got to think, obviously, Conley Craft, Dale. Like, I was at my lowest lows, and to be honest with you, I was at the point to say, I can't do it anymore, I can't afford it. But these boys jumped in and helped me. Brycey from the concrete, he jumped
BC contracting, yeah. BB contracting, sorry.
And concrete, I think it is. Yeah. He jumped in and said the same thing. Like, I've known him for a while, and he said, look, you've done a lot for the sport, and he wanted to help us out, and he helped out and to get this fixed. Like I said, I was done. I couldn't afford to do it. I didn't have a GoFundMe page, so a lot of
like the guys from Melton give us, we burnt 6 of the coils up. They give us a set of coils, some sensors, bits and pieces that were all melted. So
no, it's a great effort from everyone. Everyone's chipped in, yeah. So everyone's chipped in, got the crew back on the water.
Yep.
You know, there was clearly some events coming up. A lot of time on the water needed for the new package.
And we won't
hang on.
Without the fire box.
Oh, yep. Sorry, hang on. We'll come over here.
So we've got a fire system in there now, obviously, which we've actually used. Which we've used at Melton.
So yeah, unfortunately, the new system had to be reused. We'll touch on that later, I guess, when we get to the Melton story. But
we've got a nozzle here. There's 2 nozzles on that side, and I've got a lever in the boat. So there's a fire. I hit a button, and this will spray for about 17, 20 seconds?
No, it was 40. Was it 42 seconds the other day when we tested it?
40 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and obviously that stuff doesn't hurt aluminium. It's non-toxic to water. Doesn't hurt the driver.
It's not corrosive.
It's not
Doesn't
corrosive.
hurt your wiring.
So, obviously, with this sort of, we've seen a lot of fires now in these sort of things, and we learnt once, and we won't go back out now. If there's no bottle, we won't race.
No, 100%. You know, everyone's got their own opinions, but it seems, you know, pretty obvious that it should be a standard.
Yeah, and it needs to be a standard thing because.
I know that you guys had a little fire issue at Melton. We'll get into Melton in a moment, but down at Melton there was a very minor fire issue that was diffused extremely quickly because of the fire system. Right, no one knew there was a fire.
Obviously, halfway through trying to fix that.
Here we
now,
go.
so
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll come back to this later, but that O-ring there
is torn.
We'll
and
get to that.
oil sprayed out of the turbo.
Yeah.
And
But
little fire there.
you know, a quick pull on that lever and a
Problem solved.
We'll get to that.
yeah. So anyway, here we are coming up to Melton. Sorry, we went to Melton.
Yes. Now we're going to Yarrawonga for round
We're
two.
going to Yarrawonga next. Let's talk to everyone about what happened down at Melton. So the team's come a long way since the fires, whatever, a bit of testing, a couple of other events in Windsor and whatnot. Progressing every time the boat hits the water. Seems to be massive gains made every time. The team seems to be clicking. Melton was a notable step up from what most people have been talking about, where the boat performed really well. Straight out of the box, it looked great at Melton. Despite some challenges down there that were unfortunate and probably beyond your control, the team pulled together and did really well. So let's tell everyone a little bit about what happened down there.
So obviously we changed a couple of little things to go to Melton, but we're not touching the boat anymore. The boat's 90% of the way there for setup, so we're not changing that anymore. So then that way, when I'm in the boat, I don't have to relearn how to drive the boat, what the boat's going to do on a turn, what it's going to do when I put the power on. We've left it to, there's a bit of improvement in the boat, but there's more in me. So the boat's close enough, we'll left it at that. Now we're just focusing on me driving it to be smooth and consistent. So that was a game plan for Melton. We were one of the first boat, we were the first boat out in practice at Melton, and because there were so many boats, they had a really good turn up for the series. They wanted to try something different with their ramp system, where they lower us in through their electronic ramps.
Platform things, yeah.
But then they wanted to try and pull us out on their boat ramp, but it's very steep. So we said, well, look, we're the first boat, we'll try it. We'll see how it goes, but because it's so steep, they've got a very low back. When they've gone to pull it out, it's actually put water in the back, and it's actually sat in the back of the boat. So water's actually went in, if you can see on this side, because that one's off at the moment, water actually started going into these pipes on the turbo. So literally, if you work that on an angle, that was all full of water.
Yeah, so and that's straight after a few hot laps of
Yeah,
testing,
and
right? You
that
did
was-
3 or
that
4
was-
laps,
that was the first
everything's
time we proved
piping
that.
hot.
From the few different combos that we've tried to go to Melton, which has made a massive difference. Like that first practice session, I didn't go to 48% throttle, and we're doing 142 mile an hour.
Yeah, it looked fast. There was a lot of comments,
It was
drew a lot of
very quick.
attention.
So everything was looking really promising, and then that just threw a spanner in the works. And look, it's no fault to everyone. They were just trying to do the thing that they could do to get the program through faster, because there were so many boats. Obviously, we were the unlucky ones that they did it to, and then obviously they didn't do it from there on after. But after that happened, we literally, I think, had an hour and 20 minutes turnaround to qualifying.
Yeah.
So then that was when all stuff hit the fan. I won't say the words I want to say.
And
but-
yeah, so the everyone down there was very accommodating. Obviously, the organisers,
Rob-
you know, there was a bit of a, you know, it wasn't an ideal situation to be in regarding the boat ramp situation. Given that, the organisers of the event were very accommodating to try and help the team get back on the water,
100%, like Rob
and make
said
sure
to
that
me.
you had a good crack at still being involved in the event.
So Rob, like obviously, as it happened, there was a few very hard words. Obviously, we're very passionate about what we do. We race.
Everyone was a bit upset.
Yeah, so we sort of blew up when it happened.
Yeah, I know one particular guy that was carrying on a bit.
Probably the one behind the camera. But look, we're all down there to win. We're very competitive. We want to do the right thing. So we wear our hearts on our sleeves, and we want to do well. So this was a big setback to us. But in saying that, Rob said to us, if we can't get it going, he was more than happy to lend us his boat. His brother Dennis said the same thing, and he was actually racing us. And he said, look, if you can't race and you can't get my brother's boat, I'll lend you my boat. So the guys, I couldn't thank them enough for what they did, but we said, look, just give us an hour, let us do what we've got to do, and we'll see what we can do to get our boat going.
Yeah, we had the parts to fix it. The only thing we didn't have was an alternator.
Yeah.
And so that was a quick trip into Melton 3 times to get the right alternator,
Yeah.
but we got the right one.
A few third-degree burns from the boys, and a lot of effort, and the thing was back on the water.
Yeah, we swapped the turbos, changed the alternator. As you can see, fitting this sort of thing into this size boat is very complex, but you've got to take a lot of stuff out to get the alternator off. It's like a jigsaw to put this thing together, so it was not as easy as everyone thinks, but we got it all done, got to go out, and on that, because it was no fault of ours, they let us go rear of field for qualifying. I think we were meant to be the 6th last boat, because we were the 6th coming into the round. And they give us an exemption, obviously, because this issue was not our fault. So they let us go at the end of the field once we got ready. And I think even with that, I think there was 3 or 4 boats after us. So we were actually the last boat. So we sort of made it there, but after there was 3 boats that we should have been in front of us that we didn't make it to, but we got out there after I think we went out 1 or 2 after Brett when he qualified.
Yeah. So you got a quick from what I saw, there was a quick test lap that was allowed to happen. There was anthems played and briefings going on. The organisers allowed a quick test to make sure everything was right, which you then endured a couple of other small issues.
On that, so we went out, so we got it all done, and they let us do 2 laps to make sure there was nothing majorly wrong with changing the turbos.
Yep.
We went out and tested, and as it did, it went out, everything seemed fine. I did 4 laps, I think. I come back down, and one of the boys said there's a bit of blue smoke on the last lap. Come down the main straight, and then I backed off, turned around, and come back in. And then one of the boys on the radio said, you got a fire. And hence why I said we'll get to it. That turbo's off at the moment because we were rushing to get everything together. We've actually pinched an O-ring.
So in the rush to replace the turbos, alternator and whatnot.
We've pinched that O-ring on the oil.
Pinched the O-ring there, and there was a slight oil leak onto the extremely hot turbos.
Yeah, which then that started a fire. The boys called out fire. I actually hit my button and they started our fire system, put the fire out, and the fire crew didn't even know we had a fire. So luckily we had a spare bottle, so then we can go back out. But there was a little fire that we got to after that. Then we fixed that before qualifying, and then obviously the rest after that, I think we had a pretty good weekend considering. Yeah,
so you went out and put in a good lap. From that lap, you qualified pole 2 in the heat 1.
6th, which put us into pole 2 for heat 1.
And then, so that was up against some of the best in the business, like Unleashed and Immortal.
Yep.
You went out there, and how'd you go in that heat?
Yeah, we won that heat. Unfortunately, Brett had a cooling issue and he had to stop. And then we had a fogging issue. So everyone had a few problems, but we drove through it. We got to the end. Luckily, and as they say, the first to win, you must finish. So, and that's the idea of this series. You've got to be reliable, finish every race to be there at the end. So, but just on that note, with people saying there was a few rumours in the pit saying I took my belts off to reach my windscreen. I've got pretty long arms. And if you look here, sorry, the boat's a mess.
He's got the wrong colour rag here. I believe the rag was the same colour as the boat on the day.
There's a rag here, so I can actually reach this part here with my arms to be able to see. So, but that did happen.
The knuckle dragging arms, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've got lurch arms. But in saying that, so I wasn't driving at 10 tenths because I was looking through a section that big.
Yep.
I can still see. I wasn't doing anything stupid. I give Brett plenty of room once I knew I was fogging up. And then I heard on my radio man saying he's broken down, keep wide. I went around the outside of him, and then I knew I was in the lead. So there was no problem. I can still see, but just not as much vision as I would like.
No, it was a great effort to just even get back to that point on the same day, right? So a sinking on the start of the day, a major rebuild with new turbos, you know, other parts.
Yep.
Get out, put in a hot lap, and then win that first heat of the weekend, regardless of whatever else happened.
Yeah.
As you said, to finish first you must finish. To end that day on a high with a win is a massive achievement for the team, and good sign of progress of the development and how well the team's starting to come together. So you went on through the rest of the weekend, had a couple more great results. You had another heat win in the next heat,
Yep.
And then qualified third or fourth for the final, I believe.
I think we started fourth.
It was fourth for the final.
Yeah, it was pretty tight. So obviously it come down to set the final. Actually, come down to qualifying times.
Yeah.
Separated it because I think on qualifying there was Brett sort of gapped everyone by 6/10. He was very quick, as he is. He's a force to be reckoned with. So he's a very fast package, and he's one to beat as breakfast. I think from second to eighth, it was under a second between 7 boats. So
it was tight.
the field's getting. That's what I love about it. The field's getting really close now. It's getting reliable. It's really good to race as a team because there's so many different boats, different packages, different driver combos. There's so much, but then you look at it at the end, the top 10 boats were within a second and a half.
Oh, there's nothing in it, right? So everyone's rocking up. There's 20 plus teams at every event. And any one of those teams, you know, maybe there's one or two that are having a bad day, but there's a lot of those teams that could win it. You know, there's teams that have been around for a long time. There's new teams. There's all sorts of teams that you may or may not think could win it, and even events like Melton shook it up. You know, the little boats got up. A lot of the time, you've got the bigger boats coming through. At Melton, you had 4 of these things in the.
Connor was in 1. Explicit was 2. Chase and Cash was 3 and Rule 4, so he had 4 aircrafts that ran in footers, 1, 2, 3 out of 20 boats.
Yeah. No, it's a good showing, and look, it's a testament to you guys. You guys have really come a long way in a relatively short period of time for a new package. Like we said earlier, this boat debuted last year at Yarrawonga, and here we are showing up in a couple of weeks' time to an event that is the second round of the National Drivers' Championship, and you're in that, you know, top few percent of the point score. Package is starting to get sorted. There's obviously always room for improvement, but
I've listened to everyone else. It's really easy.
You know,
put heaps of horsepower into a small boat.
Yeah, exactly. No,
everyone said this couldn't be done originally.
Yeah.
and now there's a lot more coming.
Oh, exactly.
There's a few big blocks now.
Which is good to see, because it's awesome to see so many different combos, but yet they're so close. That's what's so good about Unlimited. Like, it's just like there's a flat 6 barrel. Or straight 6, sorry. There's big blocks, there's small blocks, there's turbochargers, twin turbochargers, there's so many different things, but yet the top 8 were within a second.
Yeah,
So,
you got a model with a big block blower. Brett BNR, he's got a small block blower. You got a big block turbo. You know, Explicits, Barra, turbo.
And yet they're within half a tank.
Yeah. So one of the things that happened down at Melton with you guys was some drama with your wing, I believe.
So we went.
What's going on from Melton? You've obviously, you know, had some great results there, but some things to fix and some things to improve on. So tell us a little bit about that.
So obviously down at Melton, we've never been so quick. Like, we're doing over 140. I think we're doing 142 at Melton, which is good because one of the shortest tracks. And where it's black here, you can see I've actually made a new main frame up out of chrome ollie. They're original. We actually bent these struts here that were aluminium. On the Friday, they actually bent right back, and good old Platsy welded these bars on here to get us out of trouble for the weekend, so these didn't keep. This actually bent back on probably a 30-degree angle, and Platsy straightened that for us to get us out of trouble. So we've made a whole new, welded all that together.
Platsy to the rescue.
Yeah, Platsy. He's always there with his welder.
He's a legend, that guy.
He's all
I
right.
don't think I've been to a boat racing event before where he wasn't in the car park welding something up for somebody.
He loves it. And
What a
then,
guy.
Always looking for a generator.
What a guy.
But the same thing, like we went and spoke to Reckless, we had a bit of a look how they set their wing up, just to make it so it's a bit more structural.
Yeah, well, their one didn't gain or nothing, so we pretty much copied the way.
But that's the other good thing about the bike. Like, there's a lot of guys that come have a look, make it stronger, do this, and they're happy to help out. And so we sort of got a bit of an idea of how they made their wing to make the main frame up, just so we knew it was strong and it wasn't going to bend. We went to 25 mil rather than 20 mil aluminium. We left these ones, and that one's still the same. They're just adjusters and braces. But now you can water ski off that, so not that we're going to on camera, because
You know anyone that'll hold on to
I'll
that?
get in trouble. If someone wants to do 140, we'll give it a crack.
No
We've
observer.
got windows, we'll get a helicopter, and we'll get radios, so we've got an observer technically. But no, so we fixed that. We're going to fix the turbos, so that's ready for
Thank you,
air
Aaron,
warm
in that, and he'll be right.
But apart from that, we didn't change the boat all weekend down Melton. It was just laps and laps and laps with me just learning how to drive the boat. And you probably wouldn't
Got a lot of
notice.
learning to do.
Oh, hey, there is. And I'm first to admit, I'm not going to blame the boat because I've got a lot to learn. It's a lot different to 6-liter on 105, and I'm only new to it.
It's
But,
definitely something you get in that you're not going to go
well,
flat stick straight.
Well, you've come a long way. You know, you've like as we said earlier, a couple of times, you've gone from 6-litre in this boat to an engine with the potential
More
for
than double.
yeah,
More than double.
way more than double, and the potential for way more. Changes the whole landscape.
Yeah.
You've had to change your driving style. You've had to adapt, and in a very, reasonably short period of time, you've come a long
Well,
way.
it's not even 12 months.
well, I think Yarrawonga's our 7th race man in this package.
Yeah.
So we've had another 7 race men.
And despite some challenges, it's been pretty reliable, right?
Well,
Yeah, so
That's the beauty of this turbo thing. It runs like a taxi.
So
it
after the
starts
fire-
and runs and turns off when you want it to.
After the fire, we pulled the motor and checked it, just to double check, and then it went. We didn't change anything, just put it straight back in, and then before Melton, it had to freshen up. Same bearings went back in it, put a set of rings, valve springs, a few other little bits and pieces, but it's still the same hardware basically as what I went in with. So, and we've worked out we've done 60 drums of fuel.
Yeah, with testing and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
60 205 litre drums of fuel through it. So it's done some work.
And it's still got the same bearings in it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, dry sump big block Chev's a pretty reliable thing,
Hard to beat the big block Chevy.
Can't beat it.
It's pretty power. It's got cubes, so it's a bit different driving than 6-litre. 6-litre was like whack, 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 and now I'm like. "Eh." So there's a bit more finessing on my side, but it will get there. But you'll probably notice from Melton, the boat wasn't jumping, leaping, coming out of the corners. So we're really working on entry through the corner and off the turn is where you make the time. So I think Windsor in January will 6 seconds a lap off Brett. Down at Melton will, I think, a second off Brett. So we've literally made, or maybe it was 3 seconds. We've made like at least
made 3 or 4 seconds.
on
Massive
Brett
gains at the end of the
in
day.
one race meeting, just in driver.
And we haven't put any power in it. Like the power is still the same. Everything's still the same. So
It's just my driving
just
technique.
Craig's driving.
So there's still a lot more to be made in my driving, but every time we go out now, because the boat's not changing, we'll get quicker and quicker.
No, the boats look great. Melton was a great showing for the team in general, and your driving, reliable as always. It's been a pleasure to see the thing progress so quickly. It's fast. It's a fan favourite. I saw you signing a lot of autographs and talking to a lot of kids and kissing babies and doing all those things down at Melton.
The kids is where it's at. Like I try and always have a time where I'll, even if it's in the morning, well, my kids are sort of jumped into that role now. They'll warm the boat up for me, which is pretty cool to see them hop in and they start it, they let it run, and Dale tells them what to do, and they.
Dale tells everyone what to do, doesn't he?
Yeah,
That's what I'm good at.
Yeah. And then, but then the kids come through and they're like, oh, we really like that boat. And then I'll get them to come through in the afternoon when we're packing up, and then I'll let them sit in the boat. They can start it, they can have a photo, and when you see kids start the boat, the smile on their face, you can't get it off. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it brings them back for the next meet too, like, because that...
Oh, we just had a camera You had one job. Sorry about that.
No, bit like you with that beer earlier.
They get in the
Hey?
afternoon and they stuff around in there, and then next time there's a race meeting on, the dad, take me to the race meeting. Without those people coming to the race meets won't happen. So
Yeah, and it's a future generation. Like, you've got the guys that are in there now, but you need the new guys coming through that want to be in this sport to want to race, to keep going with where we're going. Because the idea of this whole series is to get bigger and better for the sport, show everyone what we're doing, and then make the clubs get better, and everyone grows as a whole, not just our class. We want 6 litres, tunnel boats, juniors, 105s, the whole lot to grow, and that's where the series will get eventually. But to start with, we've got to start somewhere to promote it. And like I think the other week, I think just before the Grand Prix in Japan, they actually played Windsor round 1 of the last year's series, and then the spectacular before the F1's over in Europe. So the TV coverage is actually starting to get out there now, like it's going worldwide, which is, I don't think you can ask for much more with our sport being played before an F1 Grand Prix.
Oh, absolutely. Look, the approach that's been taken recently, it's such a professional attack, a professional angle. It's beyond anything that's ever been seen before in this sport.
yeah, you've got to do it right or not do it at all.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
the approach that's been
it's
taken,
getting,
to do it right.
everything's getting great feedback. It's presenting well. To see it in areas that you just mentioned there is like something no one's ever seen before in that space. It's very important that it keeps pushing that direction.
Yep.
The kids, as we said just before, they're lining up to get an autograph, or you know, when you give them a chance to start the boat or something like that, they get excited.
You've got 20 or 25 unlimited teams that are turning up to every race.
Yeah.
So every unlimited driver and team has put it on the line to turn up to put on a show.
Well,
that's unheard of.
Yeah, but they need
proper.
to. Like, so obviously, I'm one of the directors of the series with Rob Sala and Clarkey. But in the same thing, we can do as much as we can behind the scenes to make the series happen.
Yeah, if they don't turn up, there's no series.
But the boys have to do the same thing, because if they don't turn up, there's no point us doing what we do.
So that's exactly what's happening, right? Everyone is turning up.
So everyone's pulling together as a series. The boys from the unlimited class are pulling together to turn up, so which is good. So we can make this happen if everyone helps the series. So
No,
it's been some of the best racing, I reckon, in the last 20 years of unlimited racing. What you see is like the best of the best going head to head every time. Like,
well, it wasn't that long ago that there was only a handful of boats, a handful of bad boats showing up to an event, and then you'd be lucky if 2 or 3 of them make it to the final of the weekend.
And that's the other part.
Here we are with 20 plus boats showing
and
up,
there's still 18
and most of them get through the weekend. So you've got reliability, you've got passion, you've got commitment, you've got and competitive racing where there's nothing between.
Like, Brett at BNR putting the effort in, Damo RBG's putting effort in, us putting effort in, everyone putting effort in to get their customers' boats and their packages sorted, and it's just, it's paying dividends. Like,
it's just, everything's lifted up a bar. Like, everyone's just lifted their notch, and it's just stepped up a level. Like, I remember when I was a kid, you watch the boats go to a corner and you might see 1 or 2 get the first turn. Like, now it's like 105 on steroids. Like, you got 5 boats hitting the turn at the same time on the first shoot. Like, you just, that's not really heard of before. And now you just think, shit, when they get to the first corner, it's just...
Yeah, but they're doing that for 3 or 4 corners in a row too.
Yeah.
It's really good racing.
Gunnel to gunnel.
Yeah.
No, that's...
why, like, if you can top 10 in this field of racing, you're doing well. Like, it's not a give it to me thing. It's a you've
got to earn it.
You've got to earn it, and you are like any one of those top 10 boats.
Absolutely, and with the point structure for the series, you need to finish.
Yeah.
You need to finish. There's some big players in the game that had some DNFs round 1, which hurts them massively. The guys like yourselves and others that were consistent over the weekend have come out in a nice position, which, you know, hopefully you can capitalise on. But, you know, you've got guys that had some DNFs and whatnot, and you drop a potential 25 points for a win or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you've got 0 for a DNF.
It's going to be hard to make it up.
It's going to be hard. You've got to make it up when so many boats are out there finishing every round, every heat, every final. It's going to be a real tight race to the end of that final.
Catch up. That was the idea of the series. With my backing from karting, the idea of what I brought to the series was Clarkie's always wanted to run a series to make a thing, but then I was like, well, nothing rewards a driver better than a series, and there's nothing for boat racing with the series for our classes. There's always a one-off meeting, which is a memorial race or whatever.
Yeah, every club has their memorial trophies and
whatnot. You
whatnot.
can have a weekend at your favourite track and win it, but this series makes you go short track, long track, rough track, salt water, fresh water. There's so many variables, so the small boats will be better at 2 tracks, but they're not as good as the long tracks like Yarrawonga. So the bigger boats will have an upper hand there. So it's a test to be a competitive driver at every condition. The boat's got to be performing at every condition. You've got to finish, you've got to be reliable, but you've still got to be quick. So it sort of pulls everything back into one basket where you've got to promote yourself on every level rather than having a one-off win because someone didn't finish or this or that and you win a race meeting. This is like, you've got to be the best in the country, you've got to be the best everywhere, not just at one race meeting. And that was my concept behind the series, and that's what I brought to it, to try and promote and reward the driver for being the best in the country. Yeah. And that's where I got that concept from. But there's a lot of people behind the scenes which are promoting it. Sean from 321 Media, he's doing all the 7-8 stuff. So without these sort of guys, it wouldn't happen behind the scenes. And there's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes, plus this, plus then racing. But
it's going to be huge. Give it 2 years. It's going to be massive. Like.
It will be. You can already see it. Like I think Melton's biggest round was 14 boats. I think for unlimited boats, and they got 20 boats. So Yarrawonga was happy with 12. I think we're up to 17 or 18 confirmed.
Windsor there was 23 or 24.
Windsor's always been a big club, but you can see it
yeah,
already.
Still, the boats got to turn up.
And you got to remember too, Melton got 20 boats, and only 19 went to the Worlds, and that was backed up from Palmer's thing in January.
Yeah.
So to see the guys back up from Palmer's thing to come to the series is a big positive feedback that the boys want to actually get involved and help this series help the sport. So it's good that they're jumping on board too, because without them it won't work.
It's been a great start to the series. Awesome to see teams like Avago and everyone else having a crack. Consistency is going to be the key across that period, you know. As you said, different venues, different tracks, different styles of that will suit the different venues. So it's been a real pleasure to see a team like this come together so quickly, as have others. Anyone else you want to sort of thank or talk about before we wrap this up today, Craig?
Oh, well, there's a lot of people that help this boat. Like obviously, Dale's been there from the start with me 105. He hasn't left me. Then we've got Puzzle Man. They've done a shitload of stuff here. Like you can see all the stuff that they've put into this boat. Commonly Craft, obviously, all the repairs and all that glass work they do now. You've got PSR turbos. You've got Turbo Smart, Power Plus,
Gulf Western Oils.
Gulf Western Oils. Like there's a lot of people that are starting to help us out. Coldies, which is, if it wasn't for these people, we wouldn't be racing, because obviously everyone knows what it costs and what the time and effort these things need to actually turn the races is next level. Like this is where it's won. The racing's the fun part because everything's ready to go, but the amount of hours that all the boys put on this thing so I can go race is next level, and all the sponsors that help us, I can't think of enough, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So that's why we're trying to get
CMS Plumbing.
No, don't worry about them. They're going broke.
You can't broke at a rapid rate.
But
I thought all plumbers were loaded.
Yeah, even this is
that's what everyone thinks. But
isn't half the boats in this series owned by plumbers?
yeah, but they don't realise the up at 4 and then back in bed at all at night. But anyway,
Well, that's every small business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just.
but like, so what we try and do is anyone that helps us, we try and regenerate them work to say thank you for what they've done.
Yeah, that's what all the stickers on the side, like GP Hydro live streaming, what they do for the live streaming and stuff.
Yeah, for the series.
thing
This
is wicked. Like even South Windsor Butchery, they give us all that meat for the weekend to feed the crew.
Yeah.
Like,
From what I've seen with your smoker and your barbecues, you get through a bit of that too in those
we do like
weekends.
But all these little things like.
There's no better smelling pit area than the Avago race team when the smoker's
We
going.
have to start doing a gate fee, I think, for that. 'Cause everyone's
if they need to bring the big smoker, like that's 400 kilos. That thing.
That's Dargle.
Definitely a few smokers in the
I spoke
pits.
to Bugsy the other day on Sunday actually after the flood, and I'm like, you did rebook my camping sites. He's like, oh no, I didn't. So anyway, Tracy's taking care of that. So we've got the campsite sorted. And I think Dargle was probably one of the best race meets of the year. Like it was just we had a really bad weekend, right? But
I was trying.
it was just still like the atmosphere and everything was unreal. And so this year, like we're only doing the series and Dargle, so we're looking forward to Dargle. It's going to be a good weekend.
Absolutely. So the series seems to be a really positive thing. It's off to a great start. Great attendance with racers and spectators. On both sides of the coin. There's people lined up on the banks. Looks like Yarrawonga is going to be the same, and a couple of cracker events heading up. And can't wait to see the boat back out in the water soon.
Should be good.
All right.
Cheers.
Well, good luck for Yarrawonga, and we'll see you on the water.
Very good.